The craziest win I have ever seen gets the Buffalo Bills to 1-0 to start the season. We're going to break it all down for you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I am your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Victory Monday to you. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Baltimore Ravens 41-40 and start the season 1-0. What an unreal football game. Literally unreal. Things that never happened. Teams with 40 or more points and 235 rushing yards were 277-0 entering this game. After tonight, they're 277-1. The Buffalo Bills became the first team in NFL history to win a game in regulation despite trailing by 15 points in the final 4 minutes. An NFL game has never ended with a score of 41-40. It was a scoregami. A quarterback had never thrown for 250 passing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in any single quarter of any single game in NFL history until week 1, when the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen did all of those things. So when I say it was an unreal football game, it was literally unreal. Stuff that has never happened before happened. And I feel very fortunate and grateful to have been at Highmark Stadium to see that game in person. I was not planning on being there. I was in town on Saturday for the rally on the river, and I was scheduled to fly out on Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m., and my flight got delayed. And the next thing I know, it was delayed until 11 a.m. on Monday morning. So I'm there with my wife, and we said we'll make the most of this, and we will go to the game. So we got tickets, and I was part of one of the most incredible football games to have ever been played. It was a special night. The last ever home opener at Highmark Stadium. And it's probably the last time I'm ever going to be in that stadium. And it was just an incredible way to say goodbye to a place that brought me so many wonderful memories. So that's why this podcast is coming to you much later than usual. But what a night. What a night. And it took a long time, but I'm finally back home and able to get to work. And again, I'm sorry for the delay, but it was outside of my control. I was supposed to be home by 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. And obviously that didn't work out. But it did work out that I was able to go to that game, and it was special to be there. Special. Nothing like Bills Mafia, nothing like Josh Allen. It was special. So I feel all sorts of things about this game, obviously. I'm overwhelmingly happy. And there's a lot of things to be frustrated about as well. And that's why I love the way we do post-game shows on Locked On Bills. I do things I liked, and then I talk about things I didn't like. So we'll do that right now. We'll start with things I liked, and there's no other place to start. It's Josh Allen. It's the reigning NFL MVP, Josh Allen. 33 of 46, 394 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 more rushing touchdowns. The man accounts for over 400 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Didn't turn over the ball. He made things happen. I mean, a special performance from a special football player. He made it happen. Wasn't like all the play calls were working. It wasn't like the Bills had, the perfect offensive game plan, but 17 figured it out and made special, rare plays all night long. Clutch moments. He did unbelievable things. He willed it. I've been watching Josh Allen. You've been watching Josh Allen since this man entered the NFL. He just keeps getting better, right? I mean, just when you think he can't top something, Josh Allen says, bet. This is an unbelievable football player that we have the privilege of watching, that we have the privilege of having as our franchise quarterback. He's that dude. He's him, right? Is that what the kids are saying these days? He's him. He's him. Clutch, willing this team to one of the most improbable wins in football history. So yeah, when we talk about things I liked from this game, it's Josh Allen. How about Keon Coleman? 8 catches on 11 targets, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Comes away with that unbelievable, tipped ball in the air from Dawson Knox. He catches that touchdown. Has the big catch that puts the Bills in range to kick the game-winning field goal. Big catch along the sideline to set up another scoring drive. I mean, this guy made clutch plays. And he's a little different. He's not a traditional receiver. But you saw the high end of the types of plays he can make and what it can mean for this offense. And obviously, Josh Allen's got a lot of trust in that guy. A lot of trust in that guy. He was terrific. You know who else was terrific? Ed Oliver. We're not going to talk about too many terrific players on the defense, but Ed Oliver showed out. 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, a huge forced fumble. The sack was huge, right? It puts Baltimore in a situation where that first field goal was much further than it would have been otherwise, and maybe Baltimore thinks about going for it if Ed doesn't make that big play. He forces the fumble on Derrick Henry. I mean, game-changing type stuff, and the guy was disruptive all night long. On a night where there wasn't much good to say about a defense, that dude stood out. How about Matt Prater? 41 years old, the oldest player ever to appear in a game for the Buffalo Bills. Signed off the street. I mean, literally didn't even work out for the team. He gets there on Thursday. As of Friday morning, Sean McDermott has not even seen him kick. Goes out there, makes all 3 of his field goals, including the game winner. Hits both of his extra points. This dude has been a kicker in the league for a long time. But at age 40 last year, he has torn meniscus in his knee in week 4, and he hadn't kicked in a game since. This guy comes in off the couch at 41 years old, coming off a torn meniscus, and makes all 5 of his kicks, including a game winner. And a game winner where the field goal blocking was horrible. Deion Walker whiffed completely on his assignment. And my guy put it through the pipes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I still haven't caught my breath. I mean, I'm recording this thing at 3:45 on Monday. I literally just got home after an exhausting time of travel and being at that game late. I have not caught my breath. Unbelievable night. We got so much more to talk about. We'll get into James Cook and Dalton Kincaid, some situational things that I really liked, and of course, things I didn't as well. So folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections. You could turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing Prize Picks lately, and it's such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. I love checking projections like for Josh Allen, more or less on 270 passing yards, or Saquon Barkley for more or less than 1 rushing touchdown. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Hey, Bills fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited promo code touchdown and get an extra 25 cents per gallon back on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code touchdown for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, folks, welcome back. You may have noticed we have a new Happy Victory Monday shirt. It's Josh Allen. Yes, that's the new stadium that he's flexing in. Get yourself one of these. Go to thejoemarino.com. We have a merch shop. We have this new Happy Victory Monday shirt as well as some other new designs. So check it out. Get yourself some new gear for the season. Again, thejoemarino.com. There's a link in today's show notes to check that out. So we've been talking about things I liked, and we talked about Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, Ed Oliver, Matt Prater. How about James Cook? 18 touches, over 100 yards from scrimmage, 102 yards, and a touchdown. You know, he had to earn it. He was slippery. He made some plays. He had the big catch and run there kind of later in the game that set up a touchdown. And, you know, I don't think he ever was like truly in rhythm, but he still found ways to be productive. And I think that's what top tier playmakers do. When it's not always pretty, they still get theirs. And that's exactly what James Cook did in this game. How about 86? How about that Dalton Kincaid guy? 4 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown, opening drive touchdown. Josh Allen threw a rocket in the middle of the field, and Dalton Kincaid snared that thing, held on, made a big play to get this game started. Had the huge catch along the sideline, beat Marlon Humphrey on a route, goes and makes an incredible sideline catch that sets up that field goal before halftime. Clutch plays. He also had some really good moments as a blocker. So, obviously, there's a lot of season to play out, but what more could you ask for out of Dalton Kincaid here in week 1 in a year where I think a lot of people are counting him out? You've been listening to this podcast, you know we're still in on Dalton Kincaid. He showed you why tonight. How about that rookie tight end, Jackson Hawes? Some big-time blocks. Makes a huge reception, 29-yard catch down the seam, setting up a touchdown. You know, I mean, that's a contested catch. He bobbles the ball like 2 times and then hauls it in. First ever target of his life in the NFL. He's not even known for his pass catching. He's known for being a blocker. He gets that opportunity and delivers. How about that new receiver, Joshua Palmer? 5 catches, 61 yards, some extremely clutch grabs. The play before the throw to Keon Coleman, he has that win along the sideline for a big play that gets the Bills like into range, but then Keon gets them into like short field goal range. Palmer drew a big PI flag, set up a score. Honestly, that I don't want to be critical of Josh Allen, but if that ball is thrown out in front a little bit more, that's probably just an easy catch for a touchdown. Still draws the foul there. 5 for 61 in his debut and some really clutch grabs and forcing that PI call. How about Brandon Codrington? I want to shout this guy out. Opening kickoff return, gets the ball to midfield. Get a short field for Josh Allen to start the year. And how about that punt return where, I mean, he didn't get any yards, but it was very clearly interference. It was return or interference. I mean, he was hit simultaneously as he was fielding the ball. That should have been a penalty. It wasn't. But, I mean, the point is that he hung on to that football, because if he doesn't, because it's not a penalty and the Ravens get the ball, they're in business. They're going to get the ball inside the, probably the 15-yard line. That was a great play. And you could go through this game. You can do the inventory of in your head of this game. And there are so many things that happened that if that doesn't happen, the result's different. But you don't have to do that, because those things did happen and the result is what it is. But I mean, you're talking about just so many micro deposits into what it took to win this football game, including stuff like that. So those are some of the players I wanted to shout out. And I want to talk now and continue on with things I liked on some of the elements of this game that aren't necessarily a specific player that I really loved and really appreciated. And I want to start with the end of half management and the results. Go to the end of the first half. The Ravens have the ball and they are in a position because they won the opening toss where they could score at the end of the first half and then get the ball first at the start of the second half and do the double dip. And Sean McDermott very wisely burns all three of his timeouts during the Ravens drive towards the end of the second quarter, which gives Josh Allen a chance with the ball, not a ton of time. But you gave Josh Allen 30 seconds and say, hey, we'd like to get points here. And if we get points, it's a one-score game. He finds Shakir for 26 yards. He throws the ball to Kincaid for 22. The next thing you know, 43 yards out, Matt Prater puts it through the pipes. And so instead of being down 2 scores at halftime with Baltimore getting the ball first out of the half, you're only down 1 score. It's a critical moment of the game. Doesn't happen if the Bills aren't aggressive with burning those timeouts and then also saying, hey, we know it's not a ton of time for Josh Allen, but go do it. And he did. How about the end of game? So the Bills score a touchdown to make it 40-38. They don't get the 2-point conversion, which I think we were all frustrated that the 2-point call was a fade ball to Keon Coleman, which is just a low percentage play. I mean, even if that's Randy Moss, it's a low percentage play. And you don't get the 2-point conversion, which at the time felt terrible. In hindsight, probably a blessing in disguise. But then Sean, inside of 2 minutes, there's a minute 58 left on the clock. He chooses to kick it deep and say, hey, we got 3 timeouts. Let's get a stop and get the ball back. And we just need a field goal to win the game. And I'll be honest with you, at the time, I was like, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I think you should try to get an onside kick and give yourself 2 chances to get the ball back. But Sean was right. I wasn't thinking correct there because you just needed a field goal. You didn't need a touchdown. They did the right thing. They got the stop. They give the ball back to 17, and you get a game-winning drive. It worked masterfully. That's really good end of half management and results, end of first half and the second half. The last thing I want to say and things that I liked is I want to take this to like another angle. And I like what this win means for all the new players on the team. I think you can observe a lot of the players that have come to Buffalo, and they say a lot of really cool stuff that gets us excited about how, it's different here and the players connect with one another and there's relationships and you want to be the best version of yourself and all that, right? And that feels good. We love that. But being part of a game like this has to just really take it to another level. And really allow these new pieces to understand what Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills team is all about and what this team is capable of and what 17 is going to do for you as a teammate. And in return, what is expected out of you to not let that guy down because he's not going to let you down. Listen to some of these quotes. Joey Bosa after the game. Been in the league for a decade. Says, quote, I'm like in a dream right now. It was unbelievable. I don't know if I've ever been this happy after a win. Josh Palmer's first ever game with the Buffalo Bills. Quote, he's calm, referring to Josh Allen. He's throwing the ball. He's like, we'll get it back. It's okay. We've been here before. It's great to be around guys who are so positive. It rubs off on you. Josh is a great leader, and it rubs off on everybody. How about all these rookies? You know, they're drafted into this situation. They know the Bills are a good team. Everybody knows Josh Allen. But now you know what it's all about. Jackson Hawes said this, quote, "I'm still floating. Everyone rushed the field there at the end, but I just stood there. I was in shock." You think these guys know what it's mean? Know what it means to be a Buffalo Bill and play with Josh Allen as your quarterback and as the captain of the team? I think it really just, when these guys having an opportunity to be a part of a game like this, the new additions, I think it really drives home what this team's about, what this team's capable of, what 17 is going to do, and what you need to do your job to support 17. I think it's an unbelievable way for that to sink in. And Sean McDermott, and what we got to see out of his post-game speech, he's talking about how it's a coach's dream to have a game like this early in the season because it really can pull a team together. Yeah, it's an awesome win. It's improbable. There's so many cool things that happen, but just think about, like, fundamentally what this win means for this team. All year long, moving forward, they have this on their resume to point to, no matter what situation they're in. They've done this. They've been through this. Talk about building some callous. Talk about building some belief. They won't blink. There's no reason to blink. If you can do that, there's nothing in front of you that should make you discouraged or feel like you can't handle it. It's big. It's a big psychological thing for this team and the new additions. All right, coming up next, things I did not like, and there's frustrating things about this game defensively and offensively. We'll dive into that. We'll get into my predictions and talk about what's next for this podcast and the Buffalo Bills. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans. I can assure you of that, being at Highmark Stadium on Sunday night. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is a fast, easy way to get tickets. It's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. This literally just happened to me. I was in an airport expecting to get on a plane, and I'm stuck in Buffalo, and I need tickets. I need last-minute tickets to Bills-Ravens. I literally went on the Game Time app. I found exactly seats that I liked. The price was really good, and it was important to me. I want to sit in the 300 level on the bottom row. And I was able to find a great deal. Actually, I had multiple great deals that I could pick from, and I wanted to sit on the Bills side. And so we found exactly the seats I wanted to get. It was extremely fast and simple. Within minutes, the tickets were sent right to my phone, and I had an amazing time. And I will never not use Game Time for tickets again. It was an amazing experience. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it's less stressful than any way I've ever purchased tickets. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's get into things I didn't like. We'll start with the defense, shall we? I mean, let's call it what it is. Bills defense got smoked. Gave up 40 points. Ravens go 6 of 11 on third downs. They average 8.6 yards per play. 432 yards of offense on 50 plays. Baltimore has 3 different touchdowns of 25 yards or more. You're giving up explosive scoring plays. You're giving up explosive plays left and right. And we kind of talked about this. I mean, it's a bad matchup for the Bills. Baltimore's a bad matchup for the Bills. They're a bad matchup for a lot of teams, but they're a bad matchup for the Bills. And I think, obviously, there's some good players. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers. They got some dudes. Rashad Bateman's a heck of a football player. But I think the Ravens did a really good job of using different cadence, including a lot of quick snaps and altering their tempo. So they would get up to the line, and their center, Tyler Linderbaum, sometimes he would literally touch the ball and snap it. I mean, they varied that cadence very, very well. And I think that put a lot of stress on the Bills defense in a couple of different ways. Number one, it challenges their disguise elements. We've talked a lot about the Bills defense and how it's a disguise defense and how they want to show a picture pre-snap that changes post-snap and it stresses the offense. Well, when you're not getting a good feel for their cadence, it really takes away your ability to do that. Plus, it challenges your communication. So you want to get lined up. You want to, talk amongst yourself, make sure everyone's on the same page. And when that ball can be snapped at any time, including without any like pre-snap cadence from Lamar Jackson, just the center will snap it. It put the Bills in some challenging spots. And so I think some of their processing was tardy. You had tardy responses, which I think leads to bad angles. It creates advantages for blockers because they're first. It makes it harder to get off blocks. And so I thought Baltimore did a good job of kind of introducing that piece and stressing the Bills and challenging fundamentally what the Bills defense wants to be. Now, obviously, I've talked a lot about this Ravens offense against the Bills defense. And, in some ways, it was exactly the defensive result that I feared. And the conversations that I've been able to kind of consume throughout the day on Monday in my journeys back to North Carolina, it's kind of the discourse that I thought would happen. And I expected the Bills defense to struggle in this game. It's a bad matchup, but you don't have Michael Hoyt. You don't have Maxwell Harrison, which are two of your most significant additions that you made to this defense. You have new schematic elements. It's week 1. You had a lot of injuries throughout camp to your defense, right? Cole Bishop, Taylor Rapp, Christian Benford's missed time recently. Terrell Bernard missed time. And, I didn't expect it to all come together in week 1. When we were talking about the schedule, I said, I don't want Baltimore early in the year. When we did Bill Squad last week and we did our superlatives, we had one superlative, which was, we're going to talk too much about. And what did I say? I said, we're going to talk too much about the defense after the Baltimore game. It's a bad matchup. I felt like there's too much new for the Bills defense. It wasn't repped enough, and it was a nightmare opponent for week 1. And I think we got that. But obviously, it happened, and there's stuff that's got to be improved. And the Bills face somewhat of a similar outfit in the Jets coming up. It's like the dollar store version, but mobile quarterback, some explosive backs, a good receiver, some physical offensive linemen. And they're going to stress the Bills in some of those ways. And so, yeah, I didn't like this matchup for Buffalo, and particularly when it comes to the defense against the Ravens offense. And it was ugly. It was ugly, and obviously they tightened the screws there at the end, which is a big deal. The Bills' defense deserves a lot of credit for that. And under things I liked, I should have talked more about that. Those last 3 drives, you get 2 3-and-outs and the forced fumble. Gave yourself a chance to win the game. So, yeah, file that under things that I liked, for sure. But the overall performance of this defense was not something that's going to get you many wins. We talked about this. One of the first things I said to you is that teams that score 40 or more points and gain 235 rushing yards or more were 277-0 going into this game. So it's not a winning formula defensively. The good news for the Bills, they don't have to play the Baltimore Ravens every week. And I think they will settle into the type of defense they want to be. I think they'll get some players back. They'll, gel. And I think this defense will find its stride. I didn't expect it to be in week 1. So expectations minus reality equals disappointment. I feared that this defense would look like it did in week 1, and that's what we got. Now it's about, how do you improve from here? How do you come together as a defense? How do you get some pieces back? And what does it look like middle to late part of the season when it matters most? Then offensively, I think there's things to be frustrated about as well. Obviously not Josh Allen, but you think about the start of this game, the Bills, they score. They have the touchdown drive with the touchdown pass to Dalton Kincaid to start things off. But then you have those back-to-back 3-and-outs in your next 2 possessions. And those were really frustrating drives. The first 3-and-out, James Cook gets 9 yards on first down, then stuffed twice. Second down, third down, he loses 2 yards. You got to punt. Then the next drive was like 3 goofy short passes that Baltimore was all over. And to me, this signaled to that I think that the Bills knew some of the challenges that their defense was going to have, and they tried to play it a little conservative, play clock control, keep that offense off the field, try to be methodical and stack together plays and give your defense a breather. And it looked like they kind of turtled up. And I mean, you're probably just like me. You're like, what is this? Let's open it up. Like you're talking about a series. You should never have a 3-and-out where Josh Allen doesn't run it or throw it. Should never happen in the history of the Buffalo Bills offense. We got that on the second possession of the season. It's very frustrating to start it off. And really, it feels like Josh Allen willed it. That's why I talked the way that I did early in this podcast. He willed it. And so I didn't enjoy the way that this offense looked early on. I understand like the kind of the idea of the style of game that you were trying to embrace, but I think we all know that the best thing the Bills can do is let Josh be Josh. Don't try to play offense in a small box. It's tough to do. Overcame it because Josh willed it, but that was kind of frustrating for me, and I know many of you, to start the game. So the Bills definitely played it a bit safe early on, try to be a clock control team, help their defense out a little bit, and it didn't really work because they went 3-and-out. And meanwhile, the Ravens are scoring points, and the Bills are down 2 scores before you can blink. All right, let's recap my predictions. I always do this. I give you 5 predictions on the last podcast before the game. And in the podcast following, or reactionary podcast, I always give you the results. So my first prediction was that the over-under of 50.5, the over would hit. And it did. There was 81 points in this game. 81. So we were right about that. I predicted 600 yards or more from Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Yes, we got that. 703 yards combined from those two dudes. Obviously, Josh Allen accounting for the most. I predicted 100 scrimmage yards from James Cook. We got that. He had 102 scrimmage yards. I predicted a Dalton Kincaid touchdown. We got that. Took care of that one on the opening drive. I was pretty excited to see that. So I got my first 4 correct, but I missed the big one. I predicted the Bills would lose, and obviously they didn't. I know many of you were excited to let me know that I incorrectly picked the result of the game. Okay. I told you I hope that was wrong. It took a bit of a miracle for it to work out, but I'm glad to be wrong, and I'm glad that it's a Victory Monday. So I go 4 for 5 in my first set of game predictions for 2025. Real quick, how about some of these other results in the AFC? Chiefs, they're 0-1. They lose to the Chargers 27-21. That offense doesn't look so good. Pass rush doesn't look so good for Kansas City. The Dolphins, 33-8 losers to the Colts. They're 0-1. Patriots are 0-1. They fall 20-13 to the Raiders in New England. And the Jets are also 0-1. They lose 34-32 to the Steelers. So the Ravens, Chiefs, and the AFC East. That rhymed. The Ravens, Chiefs, and AFC East. They all lose. Too bad the Bengals couldn't lose. They almost did to Cleveland. So a really fortunate day, or fortunate week 1 for Buffalo, who is at 1-0. And the Chiefs, Ravens, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets are all 0-1. What's next for the Buffalo Bills is a Sunday 1 o'clock kick in New Jersey against the New York Jets. We'll obviously get ready for that starting on Wednesday. In terms of what's next for this podcast, we'll get the All-22 review done. Obviously, my week is a little bit sideways based on my flight situation. So we'll get started with the All-22 review on Monday night. I'll probably finish early Tuesday morning and get all that out to you. And then, of course, we'll do herd mentality and start getting ready for Bills Jets in week 2. All right, folks, thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed. Hope that you're still celebrating this Victory Monday. I know that I certainly am. Get yourself a Victory Monday shirt at thejoemarino.com. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.